Good evening and welcome to the April 8th, 2019 meeting of the Auburn Board of Selectmen. In accordance with the open meeting law requirements, I'd like to announce that this meeting is being recorded and ask if there's anyone in the audience also recording. Seeing none, could we please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So we have no one who has signed up for public comment, so we will move on to the town manager's evaluation, her annual evaluation. Just to give you a little background on the process, individual selectmen provide the chair and vice chair with their performance evaluations. We summarize and do ranges and individual scores. We provide a letter to the town manager and then provide public comments at this meeting. So first I'll read the letter that was provided to the town manager on April 4th. Dear Julie, I'm pleased to provide you with the summary of your evaluation by the Board of Selectmen. As you know, board members were to submit their completed evaluations with any comments to me so that I could prepare a summary, cumulative scores, and a final overall score. All members on the board included some level of written comment, whether on the evaluation form or in a separate written summary. Again, I would like to acknowledge and thank you for the level of depth and detail in your self-evaluation. The additional information was especially useful and will become part of the record. This certainly was of assistance to me, and I would assume all board members in completing the evaluation. The evaluation was based on the approved evaluation form and 3 additional town manager goals. The average Board of Selectmen score for the evaluation form ranged from 3.94 to a perfect 5.0, and ranged from a 4 to a perfect 5 for the 3 goals. Individual selectmen's scores range from a low of 3.97 to a high of a perfect 5.0. Julie, I'm pleased to share with you an overall performance review score of 4.77. The public evaluation has been scheduled for the April 8th, 2019 meeting. I'm sure I speak for the entire board when I say I look forward to this meeting so all members can publicly acknowledge your hard work and dedication. Congratulations to you on your excellent review, and thank you for your dedication to the town of Auburn. I look forward to working with you as we continue moving in a positive direction for the entire town. So, thank you. So what I will do is go through each selectman, and they can either read the comments that they submitted, they can ad-lib whatever they prefer. So, Mr. LaLiberty, I'll start with you.
So I guess I'll just start with town manager. Your your knowledge on any subject under the sun is unparalleled. I think everyone can agree to that. You have known the answer to almost any question that's been put before you, and it astonishes me every time that we're at a town meeting or any event and someone asks you something and you already are answering the question before they've finished asking it. The only area that I didn't give a perfect score to was for at first in budget and finance, and the only reason that I had originally put something lower than a 5 is I thought, oh, well, I really don't have anything to really base this off of. And then I thought, okay, well, not having anything to base it off of or not thinking that I have enough information here isn't really grounds to not give a perfect score, so I moved it up to a 5. So I wish that we could have seen more of your work in that area, but I have nothing to suggest that it wasn't outstanding. And the only other area that I had any comments on was with community relations, working with local business owners and economic growth. I think that's an area that we've seen a lot of improvement in. We're continuing to move on the split rate, which I think is encouraging economic growth. The creation of the economic development director last year, I think, was a great step in the right direction towards that. And the only negative comment I had, and I don't even think that this really reflects on you at all, is, and I've said it before, I think our bylaws are too strict when it comes to marijuana dispensaries, and that impedes some of our economic development in that area. But those are the only comments that I have. Again, you're always quick to email back, even when, frankly, you should be relaxing at home. And so I thank you for all the work that you put in.
Mr. Carpenter, Mr. Berthium couldn't be here tonight, so Mr. Carpenter is going to read some comments from Mr. Berthium.
All right, so Mr. Berthium starts off by saying, "I'm sorry for not being available to make the meeting tonight. I would like to say that Julie continues to be an incredible asset to our town. She is a pleasure to work with and is always quickly responsive and supportive with any inquiries. It is impressive how she and her staff continue to juggle so many balls and be up to speed and completely informed on the town topics. I look forward to continuing to work with Julie and her administrators to keep Auburn a progressive town." And he goes on in his evaluation to say, "Julie knows how I feel about the way she handles our town needs. She continues to do an outstanding job of managing, communicating, and improving upon our town's departments and facilities." I won't read the rest because he supplied additional, what is all this referring to? I think it says, just say we are blessed to have Julie at the helm, Lionel. So that's...
And just for the record, Mr. Berthium rated the town manager distinguished in all categories. Mr. Holstrom?
Okay, thank you. I also rated our town manager distinguished in all aspects. First off, before I get started, I'd like to say thank you to the board members, my fellow board members, for stepping up and being part of this. It's a difficult thing to go through, to keep our eye on all the activities, all the subjects, and try to stay abreast of all of them as they come along. And as Mr. Liberty said, that our town manager is right on the ball all the time. And also, before I get started, I would like to say thank you to our department heads, our employees, our boards and commission members, and most importantly, our volunteers. Without all of us working together in concert, Auburn doesn't move, and Auburn has moved. I've seen Auburn move, and over the course of the years, it has moved dramatically forward in the past since Julie's been here, and can't say thanks enough for all of your work put together. And it is with high regard that I share these comments about Auburn's town manager, Julie Jacobson. Julie continues to provide us comprehensive and detailed information regarding important issues facing the town, benefits that the town may be eligible for, or significant events within the town or its employees. She's forthcoming with information that assists the board in making informed decisions. She will research and evaluate an issue that comes before the town prior to approaching council and presents the information of a subject if it is in with the purview of the Board of Selectmen. Julie has had and continues to have extensive exposure to the Mass General bylaws, the bylaws, and the town charter. She regularly consults these and other documents to assist her in making definitive decisions that are in the best interest of the town. Programs such as long-term facility studies that assist the facility improvements, repairs, or replacements provides needed information to maintain Auburn's assets or expand as needed. On the state level, Julie maintains regular contact with our state and federal legislators. She actively participates in many committees on the state level. Information she receives through her participation has allowed Auburn to progress by taking part in those programs that benefit Auburn. She pays attention to detail and implements these programs for Auburn to receive the most benefit. With Julie's leadership, direction, and assistance of her administrative team, Auburn exceeds the standard for budget and finance in Worcester County and beyond. The Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee receive up-to-date reports regarding audits and information to bonds and expenditures. In addition, the board receives and supports financial policies drafted by her administration. These policies have allowed Auburn the financial stability and reduced taxation to our residents. The policies have allowed Auburn to step up and improve our bond rating and to provide the needed financial resources for Auburn's responsibilities to our retirees and to reduce interest rates, which is a direct benefit to our taxpayers. Grants are being applied for in all aspects of government. Those grants that are received assist in relieving the operating budget and apply those savings to other needed requirements that Auburn may not be able to finance otherwise. Julie makes it a practice to provide requested information expediently to town residents, and in turn will relay that information to the Board of Selectmen as needed. Several residents have confirmed that Julie has returned calls with the needed information that they had requested and were impressed by her quick response. With respect to her goals, it only takes a visit to town facilities to experience the work that's been done by our DPW facilities crew. Stop by any of the town buildings, and department heads are ready to show the work that has improved their building, are more user-friendly, and the employees take more pride in their work. This is a direct result of department heads working closely with Julie to identify facilities needs, whether it be repairs, maintenance, or improvements identified in the 5-year facility plan. The program is continuously being reviewed. The swimming pool feasibility study has been completed in the time allotted. The town is not at a point that we may have this luxury due to the cost. The study was completed, and Julie followed through with the research, allowing the board to make that informed decision. The third goal was to have a public safety facilities feasibility study put in place to identify the needs of our public safety departments. This study is a culmination of many discussions with the police and fire chiefs and town administration. The study is in process and results are forthcoming. The 3 goals have been addressed. Julie has reviewed and continues to review the status of her programs. These programs are only a small percentage of the ongoing programs and projects that Julie continues to oversee. She continues to keep the Board of Selectmen apprised of results, conclusions, and status regularly. By her due diligence, Auburn will continue to progress and be a better place for residents and businesses. Auburn has benefited and progressed to an exceeded quality of government and resident services under her professionalism, experience, and perseverance to make us the best that we can be and be the envy of Southern Worcester County. Be assured that under Julie's direction and leadership, Auburn continues to be progressive and keeps the best interests of our town, residents, and businesses in mind. Thank you, Julie.
Thank you, Mr. Holstrom. My prepared words. After careful consideration of each component of our formal evaluation, I have decided to rate the town manager's performance over the past year as distinguished in all applicable categories. It is my feeling that the manager has continued her exemplary performance, going above and beyond in all areas of evaluation. Auburn residents are well-served by top-quality municipal management in a way that optimizes the quality of services residents receive while carefully and responsibly managing town dollars. As I have said in the past, I strongly encourage all residents, business owners, and even town employees to review the self-evaluation provided by Mrs. Jacobson. It tells a detailed and fact-based story on just how much is going on and how fortunate we are to have Mrs. Jacobson as our manager. Moving on in the order of the categories as they appear on our evaluation, relationship with the Board of Selectmen. Mrs. Jacobson's communications with the board are above reproach. Though the charter does not require selectmen approval or involvement on most of her day-to-day tasks, she recognizes the board's important supervisory and policy-making roles, and as such, keeps us up to date on important occurrences and happenings. She is responsive and professional in her dealings with the board and also with members of the public. She provides appropriate recommendations that have been thoroughly researched, backed up with evidence when matters come before the board. Under town administration, the manager's administration of town government continues to demonstrate strong leadership and produce results for residents. 2 achievements in particular I'd like to highlight. The manager continues to review the town zoning bylaws. We have adopted a bylaw for medium and large-scale ground-mounted solar energy systems, and also, per the will of the Auburn voters, adopted a bylaw which prohibits operations of all types of marijuana establishments as defined in General Law, Chapter 94G. The manager, as part of the reorganization plan, formed a facilities management unit, which has completed a number of facility improvements in municipal buildings, resulting in savings of approximately $850,000 to the town. This 5-year plan provides a multi-year strategy improvements, major maintenance, and repairs to all town facilities. Under Budget and Finance, the manager's steady hand and careful stewardship has been a part of maintaining our bond rating, and this year, we have the addition of a positive outlook. She has undertaken careful analysis of personnel and operations, which provides her with the tools and data to make budget decisions and ensure sound fiscal planning. Under the manager's leadership, we have applied for 41 grants during the prior year, totaling $3.5 million. Those received number 24 with a value of $763,000, while we still have 12 pending. It is worth noting that we have received more than $4 million in grant money since 2011. Mrs. Jacobson, working with her team, is a driving force behind these applications. Under Community Relations, the manager has led and launched the development of the town's new Financial Transparency Center in partnership with ClearGov, allowing taxpayers an easy-to-understand, interactive window into how their tax dollars are spent, while providing a better understanding of the fiscal operation of the town. The use of the town's social media continues to expand and improve, connecting even more residents with information of use and interest about their community. Moving on to the goals, each member of the Board of Selectmen is also tasked with evaluating the town manager on specific goals established mutually by the Board of Selectmen and the town manager. The goals for this evaluation period were all completed to the board's satisfaction: the 5-year facility improvement plan update, the swimming pool feasibility study, and the beginning of a public safety facilities feasibility study. The 5-year facilities improvement plan is critical to our town assets and facilities. Although the goal is not complete, this is a priority to the manager, and it requires her ongoing attention. The swimming pool feasibility study came about through a very generous offer of a donation by Dr. Martha Pappas. Working with the BSC group, public meetings with months of data collection and community input were analyzed. While the final decision was made not to move forward at this time, I feel the board was provided with excellent information to make an informed vote on the issue. The public safety facilities feasibility study, I feel whatever decisions are made on this will have a domino effect on all other financial decisions. I appreciate the work under the guidance of the manager that has been done to date. In closing, as I have observed in the past in Mrs. Jacobson, we do not have merely a competent manager. We have a consummate professional whose advice and input is sought by municipal officials statewide. We have a leader whose talents and abilities are not only serving our residents in an exemplary fashion, but who is also an example and a model being emulated by other communities. With Mrs. Jacobson's skilled management, Auburn is setting a standard that other communities are striving for. So, congratulations. And I will just note, before I turn it over to Mrs. Jacobson, it is my belief, and my strong belief, that this 4.77 is her well-deserved highest evaluation score to date. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. To the chairman and members of the Board of Selectmen and Mr. Berthium, who's unable to be here tonight, I just want to thank each of you individually and collectively as a whole for my evaluation of the performance over the past year, which actually just marked the finish of my 8th year here in Auburn. I appreciate the support of each member as we work collaboratively on setting goals and, most importantly, striving to enhance the quality of life for the citizens of Auburn and the taxpayers, and to do the right thing, and always seeking to do the best in every area that we can. And that does come from the top, and it comes from the direction of the board. So I think myself and all the employees would appreciate that as well. I say it every year, but it's true. It really is an honor to hold this position and to work for a dedicated board of elected officials that I have here. And you are just so passionate about the town. You also care about the quality of life of the residents, and you're always striving to provide a high level of services to the taxpayers. Again, that trickles down to all of us and falls into all of our goals for the year as well. I'm also extremely fortunate to work with a professional and talented team of employees in each department who are led by outstanding department and division heads, many of whom are here this evening. And I say it again, any accomplishments that I make or ever have made, it's because of the team that we have. And if you look around you, we have a team that is exceptional. It's second to no other community, and we're very fortunate that we have these dedicated employees here in Auburn. So I am also proud of the many accomplishments that we achieved, and I know you've all mentioned them, so I won't repeat any of it, but just maintaining the AAA bond rating, finishing the swimming pool study, getting the feasibility study underway, the facility improvement plan, that's so important to us. We did this year initiate the online permitting for buildings and animal. We also got the Fiscal Transparency Center, Financial Transparency Center underway. And once again, since we opened the golf course, we closed it with a profit. This year was $52,000. And we did hold last year our first annual Citizens Leadership Academy, and we're in the midst of that again. And Mr. Carpenter is actually a participant this year as well. And I know the chair mentioned it, but I think it's important because I want to thank all the department heads for all their work that they do on the grants as well. Every department across the board, there isn't a department in town that hasn't aggressively sought and applied for grants. And as you mentioned, we applied for 41. Of that, we got 24 as of the end of the year. I believe we got a couple that came in last week that didn't show up in this report. And just overall, since I've been here and we've been tracking these grants, I think it's important to note that we've applied for 250 grants since 2011. And of the 250, that totaled about $14.7 million. We've received 207, totaling $4.26 million. So the town is doing very well with its grants. It's offsetting the ability that we have to provide programs and services, not at the expense of the taxpayer, but enhancing the programs that all of these departments run. So while there's no time to thank every employee by name, I do want to recognize and thank the executive management team. Ed Kazanovich, Assistant Town Manager and CFO, Fire Chief Steve Coleman, Bill Coyle, DPW Director and Town Engineer, Police Chief Andrew Slukas, Darlene Coyle, Director of Development and Inspectional Services, Mike Marino, Director of Information Technology, and Mark Moss, our Emergency Management Director. That's the core team. And then within that team, we have numerous division heads and supervisors and managers who just do a phenomenal job throughout the year. It's really a pleasure to work with all of them because we all have a good relationship and we work collectively toward the goals. We're able to accomplish beyond what the board sets for us, but even the goals that we set for ourselves, and I think we're pretty tough on ourselves. We set lofty goals within each department and division head, and everyone does a phenomenal job reaching those goals. So I want to recognize the assistant department heads and division heads for their hard work. Matt Benoit, Jean Boulette, Jean Collins, Amy Contoy, Cindy Cosgrove, Eileen Dyson-Alexander, Deb DuBois, Ken Fairbanks, Chris Hugo, Adam Menard, Jeff Mitchell, Caleb Moody, Marianne Murphy, Kristen Pappas, Joanna Paquin, Shannon Regan, Kate Spanos, Cheryl Westerman, and Seth Willard, as well as our town clerk, Deb Grimo. And then on the police and fire, the command staff, I see Eileen Harrigan here tonight, and Glenn Johnson and Todd Lemon, just all of them together. They work really hard with us. They attend our meetings. They're key players in the management team, so I wanted to make sure to thank them. And many thanks to Sharon Kwiatkowski, Sue Strozina, and this year, just finished, I think, the end of her first year, Rachel Pressey. Today is her 1 year. And just want to thank you for everything that you do for me, for our office, and for the Board of Selectmen. I think you don't see all the work behind the scenes, but there's a lot that goes on in the office, and they do a great job. And want to also acknowledge and thank the school superintendent and her team, because we do a lot of school town gown partnership, so to speak, and if we didn't have a good relationship, the town would not be benefiting as they do. And lastly, just to thank the boards and commission members. We have a lot of them. It's hard to get board and commission members to volunteer, as we all know. We need them for these important regulatory and advisory boards, so we hope that people continue to volunteer and step up, and we appreciate the work they do. So I want to thank you again. I know it's always hard to sit here, and I'm sure it's very difficult for you to run through this process as well. So I thank you for the time that you put into it, and I really thank all the employees for making my job easier and to make it enjoyable to come to work. We try to smile whenever we can, try to make light of things when we can, and when we have to be serious, we are serious, and we do our jobs, and I would tell you that every person sitting here is on a scale of 1 to 5, they're a 6. So
Nice.
I look forward to the coming year, and thank you all.
Thank you.
Thanks.
That completes the evaluation. Please join me in congratulating the manager in an excellent performance evaluation. Congratulations. Moving on to Board of Selectmen general items, could we move up agenda item 6B, the warrant articles?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, so voted. So we're now on the warrant articles. So first, I'm going to ask members if they have any questions for any department head that may be here on any articles. Okay, I see no questions. Next, I'll ask if there are any articles that members feel that they want to take a vote on, either defer to the petitioner or not in favor of.
As silly as it seems, Article 2, and actually, I don't have a question for a department head, but if I may, Madam Chair, I did just want to ask the town manager a question through you.
Okay, and is that on Article 2?
Yes,
Okay, all right.
I can hold it if there's...
I believe she just stepped out to
Okay.
speak with a couple people. So are there any, so there are no questions on any of the articles with the exception of Article 2? And I thank all the department heads or anyone who sponsored an article for being here for these questions. Mrs. Jacobson, Mr. Carpenter has a question for you on Article 2.
And it's more of a procedural, we don't have many elected officials who are compensated, and we do have one full-time employee. Is there a way to separate that out so that we would have something for the full-time employee and an article, not for this town meeting, but going in future? Just because I don't think it's, to me, as a former town meeting member, to fix the salaries, none of us get raises. The elected full-time staff do. So I think it should be clear to the town meeting members that if a elected official who has a full-time job is asking for a raise, that they have an article all on their own versus grouping it with the moderator, who I don't think his budget has been increased in 30 years. So
Through the chair, that would be a question for town council. This is a standing article that my understanding is that town meeting has to fix the salary of elected officials, so I don't know if there's a precedent for dividing out a full-time versus a part-time elected official, but the salary in the article has to be identified for every elected official. So I suppose there could be 2 articles, but the salaries are identified in there. So there's still opportunity for town meeting members to discuss the individual line items within Article 2, even if they have to stay in the same article.
I just think it's cleaner to have volunteer board members or part-time board members who get a stipend have a article, which usually is static, and I'm not complaining about that at all. But I think with a full-time position, I think that should be separate.
Yeah, we can check with town council. I know when this came up a couple of years ago, town council was the one that advised that we had to make sure this article was in every year, versus having the salary set by the town manager.
I know it's a standard article, but I just think where we have professional staff versus part-time staff, it might, I think they should be separate.
Yeah, we can find out.
Thank you.
Are there any questions on any of the other articles? I know, thank Chris for the YouTube Live. I was actually able to watch the meeting from the hospital, so thank you. So I did see that members did ask quite a few questions at the last meeting, so I assume all those questions have been answered. So I'll go back to the recommendations. Are there any articles that any individual selectman want to pull to either defer to the petitioner, vote no position at this time, or not recommend approval? Mr. La Liberty.
I would motion to take no position on Article 2 at this time.
On Article 2? Is there a second?
Second.
We're into discussion?
Through the chair, I guess I would like to know why this article has been a standing article for right down the line, and I don't think there's any changes we can make to it this way around, so I guess I'm just questioning why we're not going to take any action on it tonight.
Well, I don't think that our position really matters on this particular issue. It's for the compensation of elected town officials. I know it's been done before, and we just recommend everything to town meeting, but I don't see the need to recommend this particular motion, especially since it deals with the salaries of elected officials. But that's my personal opinion.
I don't have anything to add.
So the motion is to vote no position at this time, correct? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Aye. So the motion does not pass. Is there any additional motion on this?
To the chair, Article 33, this is for the tiny house unit, and as much as I've read it over, I'm still in question of exactly what it is. It is by citizen's petition, and I'm going to defer to the petitioner on this. So I'll make a motion, we defer to the petitioner on Article 33 for the tiny home bylaw.
Through the chair, can we just check?
It's
and
almost
make
to the
sure
back.
that's the planning board's-
Yeah, yeah. So, I've just got to find it. This is,
Okay, but I believe the
So there are-
petitioner is 34.
so, right. So there is one by the planning board and there is one by citizens petition. So did you reference Article 34?
I referenced Article 33.
So 33 is by, I'm flipping through here, by the planning board. Because
Skip that?
Article 33.
Oh, okay, I
is by
read
the
that.
planning board, and then Article 34 is similar, but by citizens petition. And Mrs. Jacobson, if you can talk a little, address Article 33 and 34 as to how this came about and what the expected action is on Article 34 at town meeting.
Certainly, the town clerk received a citizen's petition for Article 34, which is included in its entirety as it was presented to the town clerk's office on the recommendation of the town council to include the entire petition. The planning board had looked at this, and I look at Adam, so please come in if I'm missing something, wave your hands, but the planning board looked at it and felt that they would like to have a tiny house bylaw, but they did not believe that the bylaw as written by the petitioner would pass the, all the criteria that the Attorney General would be looking for a zoning bylaw. So therefore, even if for some reason town meeting had approved of that or did approve of that, the Attorney General's office most likely won't approve of it because it doesn't meet the criteria for the Attorney General's office to pass a bylaw. So therefore, the planning board asked the town planner to work with them to come up with an alternative tiny house bylaw that would meet the criteria of the state. It would still achieve what needed to be done by the petitioner, but it would be done in a manner that was, had more of the legalese terms in it that the Attorney General's office would be looking for. So therefore, the planning board, through the town planner, drafted another bylaw parallel to this, which is probably just a little bit more comprehensive. And they have had 3 public meetings on this so far, and I believe the 4th is tomorrow night. So that would be 4 public meetings. So there, at this point, what you see is probably 99% of what it's going to be. They may have any final changes tomorrow night after their last public hearing, but it will certainly be done in plenty of time to be printed in the final town warrant that's sent to town meeting members.
Okay, then it'll be for not Article 33, but Article 34 for defer to the petitioner.
So are you making a motion to defer to the petitioner on Article 33? Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Sorry, it was 34.
Yes, it was 34, right. That was the one.
Did I say 33
I
again?
think you said
I still have sick brain.
I may have just cleaned the wax out of my ears. I don't
Okay.
know.
So there is a motion to defer to the petitioner on Article 34. There is a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Host.
On Article 33, because of the public hearing still in place and more information possibly to come forward, I recommend we don't take any action on that article now.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
There's a motion to take no action on Article 33. Is there a second?
I'll second for discussion.
We're under discussion.
I think that the planning board has worked pretty hard to make this bylaw acceptable, to meet the AG's office, what they would be looking for. I've heard nothing but support for tiny houses. I've seen things around town with the people that I've talked to. No one's had any major concerns. I don't see why we shouldn't recommend this to town meeting.
I would agree. I think the planner has done, and the town board, the planning board, as well as town staff have, in a very short time, put together a very comprehensive bylaw. And I too agree that this is an option for people that, having had a loved one in a nursing home setting, it's not the optimal situation for anybody. So if a person can care for a loved one at home, and I see no reason why not to support it and let this go forward.
So I guess I just maybe have a question for Adam. These require a foundation, correct? So they have no, sorry, I'm the first one to yell about not yelling across the room, thank you. So these require a foundation. So I guess my question is, does it raise any concerns with the number of mobile home parks and mobile home units we have in town? Because I know that they need to, it's my understanding they need to have a foundation to be considered a dwelling. Is there anything in this bylaw that is concerning regarding mobile homes?
Nothing specifically about mobile homes. The intent of the draft bylaw you have is to not have the mobile home any more parks. This is why we're limited to a tiny home behind a single-family residence only, not on a vacant lot where people are plopping them everywhere, and not to have them as a rental unit. So let's try to limit that mobile home park-like atmosphere.
And I did read through it, I just wanted to be clear that you did think about this and discuss it. Okay. Okay, thanks. I don't know if there's any other questions. So the motion is to take no position at this time. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Is there an additional motion on this one?
Make a motion that we recommend to town meeting.
Second.
So we have a motion to recommend and a second on Article 33. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Mr. Holstrom. Are there any other articles that members wish to take any other position on, besides recommend approval?
I just have one question.
Mr. Carpenter?
I did ask this, and through you to the school business director, on Article 17.
Could you come up, please? Thank you.
I just want to make it,
Which article are we on?
this is 17, so this is something new where the school district may take a non-resident or foster care student tuition. This is simply if somebody, you're not going to be advertising for these type of things. This is purely if a neighboring town or someone, we have a program that they can benefit from, you're going to, this gives you a mechanism to actually take them in and offset the costs. And there'd be
Right.
no additional staff, it would be an existing program.
Right. In efforts to try to keep students in district, we've been trying to come up with different ways or different programming that we can allow to keep them in district, so the cost, to keep the costs down. And, a lot of times, it's a program that might be, another town might be interested in. So, but we would not, we would have the teachers for our students. If we wouldn't want to have it require anymore, we wouldn't take a student on if we couldn't, make it work with what we have. We're not looking to do that, but we'd like to have an option to be able to take in the funds to support that program if we were able to take in a student.
Thank you.
So Articles 13 through 19 are related to the school committee. Are there any other questions on any of those articles?
I don't believe so.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
So, moving on, we have several articles by the DPW Director, Article 25, 26, 27. Are there any questions regarding those articles? Yeah, I'm gonna- No questions on those?
No.
Okay. Article 27 through Article 30 are the Assistant DPW Director / Sewer Superintendent, who is here tonight, if we have any questions on those. Mr. La Liberty.
My question can probably go through the town manager. It's on Article 29. If this passes town meeting, I was just wondering what the next steps would be moving forward with trying to submit legislation.
Through the chair, if it passes town meeting, we would get in touch with our legislative delegations, our state senator, Michael Moore, and our state representative, Paul Frost, and ask them to sponsor legislation in accordance with the vote of town meeting. It's a similar process to what we used for the Faith Ave legislation last year, where we had both the senator and the representative sponsored, co-sponsored a bill. I believe one was on the Senate side, one was on the House side, but it was the same bill.
Thank you.
Anything else on these? Thank you for being here to answer any questions. So we have IT Director, Fire Chief, Town Assessor. Do we have any questions on those?
No.
And any sponsored by the Town Manager? Okay, so on the remaining articles, is there a motion to recommend?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second for discussion purposes.
Okay. Did you have something, Mr. Carpenter?
There are a few that I'm not necessarily comfortable supporting per se, but I would most likely just abstain on those. So, why not?
Well, certainly there would, I mean, this is, and I didn't mean to jump around, but if there are any that you wanted to pull to either defer to the petitioner or take no action at this time or not recommend?
Well, I would say Article 2, I know we had a vote.
Yep.
So I certainly, until we have a tie break.
Okay.
If we can pull that out, that would be great. Article 1, I would definitely just defer to the petitioner because I don't feel that that's anything that we really, town meeting needs to hear the reports. It's not really something we should make a recommendation.
So on Article 1, there's a motion to defer to the petitioner. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Article 2, is there a motion to take no action? What was the first motion?
We were going to take no action. Right.
Okay, so I don't think we're going to take any position because it seems to be unless there's an additional motion on that.
I'd be happy if we did 30 to 33, if we wanted to do that and just exclude 2, because there seems to be...
3 to 33?
Yes, because 34 we did act on.
So Mr. Carpenter's made a motion to recommend Articles 3 through 32?
32, that's the Drury Square Village District.
33. Did I not say
33?
Yes, because we already did 34.
So there's a motion to recommend Articles 3 through 33. Is there a second?
Second.
Are there questions, Mr. Holstrom?
Yeah, we've already voted on Article 33, did we not? Yes,
That's what I thought.
we've already voted on Article 33.
So Articles 3 through 32.
32.
And the second. Is there further discussion?
With the 30s.
Yeah, why not? It all flows downhill.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. So we have covered all the articles.
Taking any position?
I don't see that we have a majority vote on that, on Article 2. Are there any additional motions on Article 2? No? Okay. No position. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for being here to answer questions regarding the warrant. Going back to Board of Selectmen general items, vote on the language of the ballot question regarding the plastic bag ban that will be on the annual town election ballot, which is included in the May 2019 annual town meeting warrant.
Madam Chair, if I may, while we have our department heads here, I'd like to move up items, under town manager items, items 7A and B.
Okay, there's motion to move up items 7A and 7B.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. So under town manager items, we have a vote to accept and expend funds from the Complete Streets Grant for the development of the prioritization plan. Mr. Coyle, welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. If you recall, about a year ago, I had come before you regarding developing a policy for complete streets, in which the town did accept. Since then, we sent our policy to Mass DOT for review. They have approved our policy, and we are now moving forward to the Tier 2. That was considered Tier 1, developing the policy, and will be utilizing the grants that we received from Mass Highway for $22,642.57 to work with CMRPC for technical assistance to develop our prioritization plan. So what we'll be doing is identifying critical areas relative to bicycle, pedestrian, and vehicles along our roadway. And once this prioritization plan is reviewed and approved, we would then be eligible to move forward for Tier 3, which would be construction application. And I believe it's up to $400,000. So we're hopeful that we will continue on the prioritization plan development, and then upon completion, identify what our priorities are, and then apply for Tier 3 construction projects.
Are there any questions? Great work.
Thank you.
Did you want to add anything?
No, I just want to thank Bill and Joanna Paquin for all the work they did on this. This is, as Bill mentioned, it's been a year, but it's been a year of a lot of work on this. It's a very complex procedure, and I think moving forward, it'll be a really benefit to the town to have this. So I want to thank you for all the work you did on that.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we vote to accept and expend the funds from the Complete Streets Grant for the development of the prioritization plan.
Is there a second? Any discussion under the motion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. Thanks, Bill. Okay, and we have Town Manager, item B, explanation by the Director of Developmental and Inspectional Services on the new process for yard waste collection by Republic Service. Good evening, welcome, Mrs.
Hi,
Coyle.
good evening. So thank you very much for having me. We are wanting to let the residents and the Board of Selectmen know that we have the yard waste schedule confirmed dates. This year, we're trying something a little bit different in order to try to improve our service continually. And working with Republic, we are still going to offer 4 yard waste pickups for the residents. Instead of doing it on 4 consecutive Saturdays, we're going to do it on the pickup day for the residents' normal trash pickup day. So we will be doing pickups Monday through Friday. And, for example, if you have a Monday pickup day, your leaves will get picked up on Monday for 4 consecutive weeks. So we're starting at the end of this month, so April 29th through May 3rd. So again, that's Monday through Friday. The following week, May 6th through May 10th, May 13th through May 17th, and then May 20th through the 24th. So we are... it's going to be the same process as people put their yard waste out. They're going to put it in the paper biodegradable bags. We don't want people putting yard waste in their toter because they'll have trash in their toter anyways, but sometimes people do put yard waste in the toter, and that's absolutely, it's not allowed. So it's something we ask people's help with doing that. So they can put normal leaves, twigs, small branches, no more than 3 inches, and then 3 feet in length. Sometimes people put like big, huge tree branches, and they get upset if Republic can't pick that up. They just can't. It doesn't fit on the truck, and it's not able to be composted easily. So we ask the public's help in just really putting yard waste that's identified in the flyer. So the flyer is posted and will be sent out on all the social media accounts. It is on our cable access channel, and we'll also have it on the message boards. So we usually put it on the electronic message board at DPW or at the library when those boards are available. So you'll see that. And just wanted to, we encourage the public's feedback, but we're hoping that this will help us. So if by chance somebody misses a street or a residence on a Monday, they're going to be out on Tuesday, so they can go by and get what may be missed. So we realize that sometimes they're missed in the past. We're going to try to rectify that and have this be a stronger program. So wanted to let you know about that.
Great. So since you mentioned it, and it's just an ongoing issue, so I think now is a good opportunity for you to let residents know what the process is if their trash, recycling, or yard waste is missed. Who do they call?
So they can call, we want them to call the town. A lot of people call the actual Republic, and they will sometimes be transferred down to a corporate customer service that's out of state, and that's something that we want. Any disruption in service or any questions, to have them call the town directly. So they can call, yep, they can call Department of Inspectional Services.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments?
I'm going to say this is great. I think it's going to be a much improvement over, are they taking it on Saturday, are they not taking it on Saturday? Now you know. And if you get a rain out, you can still get some done before you get your pickup. So I think it's a great improvement. Thank you for
Awesome.
coming up with it.
Thank you for the feedback. We'll, it's a work in progress, and we'll see how it goes. If we have to make some changes, then we'll do that. And if I may, I would just like to tell you, I'm very excited. So Earth Day is recognized in April, and to bring just the whole Earth Day awareness, every other year, we have either the townwide cleanup day or hazardous waste day. So this year is the townwide cleanup. The Auburn Chamber of Commerce and the town of Auburn join forces, and we have an event that's going to be held on Saturday, May 4th. It's from 7:30 to 12, and our headquarters will be at the Auburn Fire Station, right on Auburn Street. We have volunteers will come to the fire station 7:30 to 8 in the morning. They'll get their gloves, bags, and routes for the areas of town that need to be cleaned up. For that day, we were actually very excited. We have more services this year for the residents, and they're all free. Republic Services has graciously donated the containers and also a metal dumpster. So we will take metal items, so snow blowers, lawn mowers, bicycles, different types of metal appliances, and we do have a listing of those. If anybody has any questions, they can call the inspectional services, things like white goods, washers, dryers. The only thing that we ask for any appliance that has gasoline in it, we want them to run out the gasoline because it makes it difficult for them to recycle the appliance if there's still gasoline in it. So we will have the metal dumpster. Bank Hometown is doing free shredding, so you can take, I think it's up to 3 boxes of documents, and they are going to be located actually at the Heritage Plaza, right where Bank Hometown is. So you can get rid of shredding. This is a great time of the year to clean out all your old documents, and it'll be shredded securely. Central Mass Mosquito Control always helps us out with our hazardous waste days. They're going to be taking tires, so you'll be able to bring old tires, and that also helps us eliminate the threat for West Nile virus because the tires collect water and it's stagnant, allowing mosquitoes to breed. The only thing we ask residents, they have to have the rims removed. So you can bring tires. And then Interstate Battery is also new this year. We're going to have a battery collection station. So your car batteries, the nickel rechargeable batteries, all like those fancy batteries that come in appliances that you never know what to do with, you can bring them to this day. And that's completely free as well. For volunteers coming to the event after cleaning up the town. And we also ask residents and businesses alike, if you can just clean up your area on that day, it really helps. Everything makes a big difference. If you can't come to that day, we certainly understand, but if you can at least clean your yard and your area in front of your business, it really just helps everybody out and makes the town look that much nicer. There is a free luncheon at the Outback Steakhouse after the event. So usually about 12 o'clock, everybody heads over and has a little lunch. So we appreciate Outback for donating. So we have a flyer, and this will be on the website if it's not there already. And just wanted to take the opportunity to invite everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for the information.
Have a great night. Thank you.
Thanks, you too, darling. Going back to 6A, vote on the language of the ballot question regarding the plastic bag ban that will be on the annual town election ballot, which is included in the May 2019 annual town meeting warrant. And in your packet, you have a letter from town council with recommendations on the language. We're still at liberty.
I just wanted to point out that I had a few concerns with some of the language, just using the words restricted use. And the only reason I bring that up is because of the
Excuse me,
bylaws.
what section are you on?
So this would be either of the recommendations from town council, not from the first one, which was written by the town manager in the email. This is on the, do you support the enactment of a town bylaw that restricts use for the second one? And the third one has a general bylaw that restricts the use. And the reason for my concern with those words is that of all the bylaws that I reviewed, the focus is really on distribution, not on the use. I don't want there to be any confusion with residents that they may not be able to bring in plastic bags. That was a concern in some of the towns that I looked at. Excuse me. In some of the public hearings that they had, residents were confused as to whether or not they could save plastic bags and then bring them to a store and then use them. And really most bylaws that or a good number of them anyway, specifically allowed residents to, they'd have a section at the end that said residents can, nothing in the above would restrict a resident from bringing in any bag of their choosing. So they're still allowed to use them. It's really restricting on the distribution of them by retailers rather than the use by residents. I think the third recommendation does specifically say
It does say by retail establishments.
by retailers, right. I still think it's a little confusing, but I think that one would be a little bit clearer than the second.
Does anyone have anything else? I would support the article as written on the back of the page. I think it's pretty clear that it restricts the use of thin film, single-use plastic bags by retail establishments, and this is a non-binding question to develop a bylaw, so I think in the general bylaws, all of those issues are addressed. Is there anything else on this?
I'd also support the third one. I think that it spells out a lot, but then when you actually get to the bylaw, if it goes through, the bylaw will specify and be able to explain step by step. So I would be in support of this.
And to the town manager, is this, we have to take action on this to get it on the town meeting warrant, correct? Tonight, we have to take action to get it on the warrant.
To get it on the ballot, which will then go into the final warrant
Right.
that goes to print, yes.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to, I don't know what the motion would be, to adopt the, should I read it out?
Option 3.
Option 3, yeah.
Okay. As a non-binding
As a
referendum.
non-binding referendum.
There's a motion for a non-binding referendum to use the language.
Under the more comprehensive option.
Right.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted.
Thank you.
Okay, we've done the recommendations. So now under gift acceptance, in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 44, Section 53A, for animal control, we have goods and equipment, approximate value of $40 for the Kathleen Sabina Animal Compound from Ron and Beth Prouty. And there's actually a nice photo of the goods.
Accept with gratitude.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? So voted. And to the town manager from the Auburn Chamber of Commerce in the amount of $500 for the Summer Concert Series.
I make a motion that we accept with gratitude and that a letter be prepared and signed by the chairman.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. And from the Highway Department, from United Granite Works Incorporated, a granite shelf with a value of $500 for the highway break room.
Make a motion to accept with gratitude and that a letter be prepared and signed by the chair.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. We have no proclamations and recognitions. Under town manager items, moving on, we have a discussion and potential vote to invite representatives of Bay Path Regional Vocational Technical High School to discuss their proposed solar project. Mrs. Jacobson.
Through the chair, Mr. Carpenter had reached out to me, maybe about 10 days ago, asking if I had any information on the proposed solar project of the Bay Path Regional Vocational Technical High School. And I was not aware of anything specifically. His question really was, had anyone from Bay Path come to us to explain it? And on the town administration side, we were not aware of it. So I did try to do some research on it, looked at their minutes to try to find out what was going on, contacted the state representative's office because they had sponsored a bill, and just generally tried to get some information. Through that, and I believe I just let the board know, we were able to piece together some things. That basically means they need to file special legislation to be able to lease out, looks like a 100-acre parcel that they own across the street from the school for solar use. And from what we read in the minutes, and this was over a year ago, it appears that they were looking to use the revenues to pay for some athletic facility costs. That's all we could find, and after discussion with Mr. Carpenter, we thought it might be appropriate to come back to the board and ask the board if you feel that you would like to vote to have me reach out to the superintendent to see if either he or representatives of the school committee are interested in coming in and explaining to the board details of the solar proposal, because that is really all that we could find.
So any potential either revenue or spending, whether it be athletic fields or whatever, could have an effect on our assessment?
Possibly. We don't know enough about the proposal to know what the impacts would be. I think one member of the board's concern was that it would have an effect, and maybe to the positive, that, if they can bring in revenues, does that reduce the assessment? On the flip side, are they bringing in revenues to add something to the budget that's not currently in there? And that's just something that's not clear from the minutes.
Mr. Holstrom.
Through the chair, Julie, I think instead of having them come in and try to explain to us what they want to do, it might be better off that maybe your office go through and ask a question first and say, what responsibility would we have? Is there a revenue generated? How is it going to work? And maybe get that kind of in place first before we have them come in and explain a project to us that we're not sure we're really going to be responsible for. That would be my feeling, just to, instead of having them come up and, it's not going to have any effect on the town one way or another. Maybe we ought to ask that question first and see what kind of responsibility or revenue generation there would be before we had them come in and explain anything to us.
Mr. Carpenter?
I don't have a problem with delaying it. My concern was, I saw an article in the paper. It is an asset of the community. They're making a change to the asset without talking to as far as I can discern, they've only talked to the town of Charlton. There are 10 towns, and as far as I know, none of the other towns know anything about this. So they filed special legislation. They did all these things without coming to the board or to the manager. So when I asked Julie about it, and she told me she didn't know about it, I was doubly concerned, because I think that Bay Path should be communicating with us. They should be communicating with the Finance Committee so that people know what it is they're doing. This is impacting, and it sounds like it's all positive from what I did watch the meeting that they held with the Board of Selectmen in Charlton, and it was very brief, and the details were very limited. But I would like them to come in so that we can share that with the community so that they are aware. of what's going on. So that was the reason why I even reached out to Julie about it to begin with, to try and get further information, make sure that the community at large is aware of this. And it does sound like this is phase 2 of their build-out, and they didn't have enough money, or they didn't budget enough money for replacement of athletic fields, so this is thought of as a potential revenue source for that. That's about all the information. And they also did say that on that side that they're looking to get someone to put something there. They're looking to put a field over there. So again, I know people are concerned with solar and its proximity to neighborhoods because of whether it is cancer causing or it isn't, we don't know, but I mean, I don't know that if I had a child at that school that I would necessarily want them making that decision without having the towns be aware of it, so anyways.
Mr. Holstrom?
See, in light of that information, which I did not have, I'm not sure whether it'd be better off to have them come in here and speak to us and explain everything. The only thing is, I think that if they come in here, and they would probably be looking for some sort of an approval, for Auburn to go forward with, even with a presentation that they would have and say, geez, we'd like you to come on board with this. I think there would still be some delay with getting more information to say, is this going to be good or not bad? And I would guess I'm just going to leave that up, throw it in the air and see where it lands, whether we have them come in and explain it to us, or whether we have the administration go and just ask the question and say, do we have any responsibility
And if
for
I
it?
may, through the chair, my intent is not to gather information to take a position. I was more concerned that this was in a publication. These individuals did not reach out to us. And again, more so than ourselves, the manager and I'm guessing the town accountant weren't aware of it either. So my concern is trying to establish a communication with them, understanding it is our district. I know it's far away seemingly, but it is our district and we do care about the students. I actually ran into one of our school committee members from Bay Path and I expressed to him, my concerns that, unless it's in the paper, we don't really hear anything about this school district. And I think that's not pointing the finger at anybody. I just don't think that's a healthy relationship. But I would like them to come in just to explain so that it is out there to the community, not for the purposes of our board to now take a position, but just for information purposes. That was my sole purpose in pursuing it.
Well, in light of that information, I would be in support of having them come in.
And I actually agree with both of you. I think what I'd like to see is have the town manager reach out to the superintendent, ask him for an initial information. I know it's easy to pick up the phone and make a phone call, but I would ask him to follow up with an email and provide email information so that we can have the information. If we have additional questions, at least we're prepared for when we ask them to come in for a meeting. And I would also, encourage the manager with the approval of the board to let them know that, we were surprised to hear it on the news as we're one of the, towns, hosting towns.
I'll make that in the form of a motion.
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So voted. Thank you. Thank you for that, Mr. Carpenter. We have no tabled items. We have no Board of Selectmen member items. We have no additional public comment or any public comment. We have the minutes of March 11th, 2019. Are there any corrections or omissions? Seeing none, the chair will accept them as written. If there's nothing further, is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We are adjourned. Good
And
night.
good night.
I'd like to call the April 10th, 2019 meeting of the Auburn Board of Selectmen to order. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion, we go into executive session in accordance with the Mass General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 21A-2-3, to deliberate upon matters which, if done in open meeting, could detrimentally affect the position of the town regarding strategy with respect to contract negotiations and collective bargaining, to come out of executive session only to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
So I, as chairman, declare that an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the public body relative to contract negotiations and collective bargaining, and that the board will come out of executive session only to adjourn. By a roll call vote, Mr. La Liberty?
Yes.
Mr. Berthium?
Yes.
Mr. Carpenter? Yes. Mr. Holstrom?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes.
Thank you.